In this video, you will learn everything you need to know to successfully capture beautiful, sharp, up-close photos of sand martins or bank swallows, as they're called in the Americas. I will explain where you should look for them and how to approach them without disturbing the nests, as well as demonstrate step by step the technique of photographing them. The tips and tricks in this video will work for any camera and lens brand on the market. I will show you what gear I'm using and how I set it up to capture stunning photos. I'll also share with you my recommended camera settings so you can apply them to your gear and start photographing right away. Planning and location. Let's start with planning and location. The first step is to find the sand martins. You will find these small, migratory birds nesting in colonies, digging burrows in steep, sandy cliffs, usually in wetland areas, along rivers or near lakes. Sand martins are very social birds that live and nest in colonies. They are active during the day and spend most of the time perching or flying to catch insects. To improve your chances of finding them, you should also listen for their singing, which sounds like this. In my case, I managed to find them along this larger river close to where I live. Their burrows spread along the riverbank for about 50 meters. The next step is planning your photography approach. The best times are usually around sunrise and sunset due to the softer, warmer light coming from a lower angle. Plan your shoot around these times and check the sun's position. Light from the side and slightly from the front or back is ideal, as it gives the photos more dimension. The last step is to decide where you'll position yourself. I like to visit the location during the day to find the best angle. You don't want to wake up early and then realize you don't know where to position the camera, wasting precious morning light. I chose my spot carefully. Facing the riverbank made the photo look flat, while being too close to the cliff made it hard to see the whole burrow and focus on the bird. You should aim for an angle that provides some separation from the background while keeping the burrow visible. Position the camera at the same height as the burrow to avoid looking up or down at the bird. Before I talk about gear choice and setup, I would like to tell you about my experience using a filter set from today's video sponsor, Freewell. I've been testing their new M2 magnetic quick swap set of filters for the last 4 months, and I can confidently say that it's a very high quality set of filters with a practical magnetic attachment system that comes in handy when you're photographing or filming in the outdoors. To be honest, before I tried this magnetic system, I was thinking to myself, what difference does it make anyway? It's not that much faster compared to just screwing the filter on. But after using it for a few months to shoot content for this channel, I started to like it, and even more important, started using the filters more often. When I'm in the field trying to get a wildlife photo or video clip while also filming myself, it's too many things to focus on at once. So I won't bother, for example, putting the filter on my vlogging camera. With these new filters from Freewell, I just pop them on and I'm ready to go. If there's too much light, I use one of their NDs to get my shutter speed to double the frame rate, and almost always when I'm shooting in the sun, I will use the circular polarizer filter. When I'm done filming, I just put on their magnetic lens cap and I'm ready to go. In my experience of using them for a few months, the quality of the filters is very high. They are well made, and in my use, I didn't notice any loss of image quality. They come in this way too good looking protective case that stores them safely and in my hand's reach, which is a nice touch. All in all, I can definitely recommend the Freewell's new M2 magnetic quick swap set of filters to you if you're in the market for a new set of camera filters. If you decide to get one for yourself, use the affiliate link that I've put down in the description. Thanks again to Freewell for sponsoring this video. Gear choice and setup. Now, in terms of gear choice, it would be easier for me to say just use one of the high-end expensive cameras and you'll have no limitations in terms of AF speed and frames per second. Also bring your primes with you and you'll choose which one works for you on the spot. But that's not what most of us have available, so I will give you 2 scenarios on how to shoot the sand martins. The first one is suitable for any photographer, no matter the skill level or camera gear. The second one is a bit more tricky and will require better camera gear and some skill to get the photo. I will show you what gear and settings to use for each scenario. The first scenario is to shoot the Sand Martins as they land on the entrance of the burrow. If you have a camera with slow AF, a camera that can only take a short burst of photos at a time, or a camera that takes noisy images when using a fast shutter speed and high ISO, don't get discouraged. You can easily predict where the bird will land, so you can pre-focus on that spot and wait for the bird. When it lands, you can refocus the lens on it, and the AF will just have to make a minor adjustment. It doesn't matter how many shots the camera can take in a second, because the bird will sit there for at least a few seconds, and if you miss it during that time, you can wait for it to fly away and come back again. Because the bird is sitting on the edge and not moving much, you can lower your shutter speed and ISO value to get a cleaner, less noisy picture. To prove my point, I'm using the lowest model you can get from Nikon, the Z30. For this situation, I would recommend a lens with as much focal length as possible, because you want to stay away from the burrows as far as possible while still getting a picture of a Sand Martin that fills the frame nicely. I'm using a Sigma 150-600mm zoomed all the way in. Choose a burrow that is on a protruding part of the cliff, so you get a good background separation. Place your camera on a tripod and point it at the burrow so that the hole is on a third of a frame. Leave enough space on the opposite side of the frame so you can capture the bird before landing as well. Focus the lens right in the middle of the hole. While photographing them, I noticed that the Sand Martins will often approach perpendicularly and land on the burrow exactly in the middle, so focusing there will ensure you have a sharp photo of the bird while approaching, as well as when sitting on the burrow. Set the shutter speed to 1/3200 of a second if you want to capture them in flight, and to 1/500 of a second if you'll only try to capture them while stationary. Use the apertures of f5.6 to f8. It will depend on the amount of light available, as well as the depth of field required to get the whole bird in focus. I'd recommend you set the ISO to auto and let the camera adjust the sensitivity. Now the gear is set up. Put your finger on the shutter release button so you're ready to take a photo as soon as the birds approach the burrows. In my experience, if I was looking through the viewfinder, I never managed to take a photo so quickly that the bird was still in the air. What worked for me was to actually observe them without looking through the camera, and when I noticed one of them approaching my part of the cliff, I started taking photos right away. In this scenario, you have the opportunity to capture the Sand Martins flying into the nests, sitting on the edge, as well as flying from the nests. Just be patient. Good luck! If you have any questions or suggestions so far, please comment them down below. I respond to every comment. Now on to the second scenario. Here, the goal is to capture the Sand Martins in flight, which might not sound like a hard thing to do, but there's a huge difference between shooting, for example, a buzzard in flight and Sand Martin. They are smaller, much faster, and they fly unpredictably, making it a challenge to even keep them in frame. For the gear, I recommend you use a lens with about 400mm of focal length, full frame equivalent. I found that for me, more than that was too much to be able to keep them in frame and focus on them successfully. Of course, you might be better at tracking them than me, so keep this number more as a starting point. For the camera, use a model with very fast AF, good low light performance, and the ability to capture as many photos per second as you can. Ideally 20 or more. I'm using a Nikon D500, which is a crop sensor DSLR with a Sigma 150-600mm. It's not the best kit for challenging conditions like photographing the Sand Martins, but I still managed quite a few beautiful shots. With the latest cameras on the market, you'll have no problem getting even better photos, as they offer blazing speeds and very good low light performance. I positioned myself away from the cliff, so I'm not a threat to their nests. You'll notice that after some time, they will start to trust you more and fly much closer to you. I'd recommend that you photograph standing up with your camera on a tripod. This way you have the ability to move around very quickly while tracking the birds. When sitting, you are too restricted and not able to move around the tripod fast enough. For the technique, I found that I got most keepers when I picked one Sand Martin that was still quite far away, focused on it, and started tracking it through the sky. Don't start shooting just yet. Just keep tracking it until it gets closer to you, and when you have it at a usable distance, start taking photos. You might be skeptical as to why you would do this, when you can just pick a bird that is nice and close to you and try to photograph it. It's because when the bird is, let's say, 10 meters away, it's moving across the sky much faster relative to you compared to when it's further away. You'll have a much harder time trying to find it in frame when it swooshes past you, and your camera will have an almost impossible job trying to focus on it for the split second that it will stay in your frame. In terms of camera settings, you will need a very fast shutter speed, 1/4000th of a second or faster. Set your aperture according to the capabilities of your camera and lens combination. For example, you can set the aperture to f4 on your prime lens, and you'll have more light to capture noise-free images, but your camera will have to work harder to track focus and keep the birds sharp. Or you can step down to around f8, and you'll have less light hitting your sensor, but the keeper rate of in-focus shots will be higher. It's up to you to try it out and figure out what's best in your situation and with your gear. With ISO settings, I think it's best practice to set it to auto and limit the range to whatever value you still feel comfortable using. With my D500, past ISO 8000 images are mostly unusable, but with Z6, I often shoot at 12,800 or even 20,000, and with some denoise, the images come out just fine. Let me know in the comments if you plan to try these techniques and which one is your favorite. I would really like to know. Are kingfishers next on your photography bucket list? Then I have these two videos that are just what you need. See you over there. Cheers!